walked in, it was a sixth grade classroom, and I had a stapler. That was it. And everything else was empty.
Welcome back to Educator University. As teachers, we know classroom libraries are so important. But what happens when all you have is an empty bookshelf? Well, that's where today's guest comes in. Dr. Roxanne Forgave is actually been my professor at my alma mater, Olivet Nazarene University, and she is the perfect guest to help us today. She has been a teacher for 29 years in the language arts classroom. She's been a professor for 12 and a librarian for 5. She actually helped me build my first classroom library many years ago. And so she's going to talk today about how you can build your classroom library if you're just starting out. Welcome, Dr. Forgave.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes, it's so good to have you. I think one of the questions we just want to start with is, why are classroom libraries so important for us?
They will help you grow a love of reading. Children really, especially in today's world with electronics, they seem to be more centered on that, and they aren't as much on reading. But when a teacher is excited about books and wants to include those in her classroom, and she shares books that she reads or that she read as a child or that she has read since she graduated from college, it really helps. School libraries are in many, like the general school library, but students only go there once a week. And so this way, children have constant access to books within your classroom. And they can choose different reading levels, they can choose different topics. It just gives them access to books right away. And some students, unfortunately, don't have books in their home. And so this helps provide them access to books during the school day.
Yes, I love that. Just kind of that basic reminder that not all students have access and they need that in their classroom. They need it easily accessed, because the library within the school, maybe they only go once a week and they only get one book, and that's not a lot of variety to build that love of reading.
When I was a librarian, had a student who would come and check 7 books out at a time. I did allow that just because she actually read 7 books. Her parents came in and talked to me. Some school libraries let you check out maybe 2, but some will also let you go back and forth. It depends on the librarian's schedule at the school. If they're really bombarded with classes constantly through the day, then there isn't time for extra checkouts.
Yeah. So for a brand new teacher, if they know the importance of libraries, like you said, we need to get those kids reading and getting a variety. If they're having that empty bookshelf right now and they're like starting their year and they're thinking, I don't even know where to start, you kind of have a lot of expertise in this area. What would you suggest are some first steps for them building their first classroom library?
First of all, probably consider your community. Think about the community and their values, their needs. The students, talk to some of the other teachers to find out about the reading levels. See if you can find some information about your incoming class. If you've got a second grade class, for instance, you would probably want to have some easy readers, some maybe late kindergarten, early first grade. You might want to go 2 to 3 years above and below that second grade reading level. And then start looking. Ask friends. Look on Facebook at some of the marketplaces. Sometimes I've noticed that parents spring cleaning. They're cleaning out their homes and they've got wonderful books they just want to put in the hands of a new teacher. Watch for retired teachers' sales. Retired teachers are very passionate about the new teachers, so they may give you a really good deal. Go to garage sales. I remember finding a DW doll and walking away for $1 with that Arthur's sister, DW. And as I'm walking down the driveway, I accidentally squeezed it, I guess, and it spoke to me. It was a talking DW doll. So you can find great stuffed toys to add to your to decorate as part of your library. I had Clifford, I had DW, I had Arthur, just lots of different animals. Then I found some national, oh, I forgot it. They were penguins, stuffed penguins, beautiful. Paid $2, I think, for them. But they were the ones from one of those national museums. So you can do that. Garage sales. A half-price bookstore is a wonderful place to go to. There are a lot of those in the Midwest. We have, I think, 3 in the Indianapolis area. If you go to the clearance section, some of those books are brand new. They're overruns. And so they might have a black mark on the bottom, but they're perfectly fine. I would always look for books in good to like new to new condition. You don't want anything that looks like it's been really read and loved, because students aren't going to grab those books as much as they're going to grab the ones that look new. Couple other great resources I found. Oh, here's one, Dollar Tree. I actually found some National Geographic, those easy reader National Geographic books. I found those one time at Dollar Tree. Now they're $1.25. Let's see. Oh, Book Depot and Book Outlet. BookDepot.com has beautiful hardbound and paperback books, some of them as low as $1, $1.25. With Book Depot, you do have to pay postage. If you have it sent to your school, if that's a possibility so it doesn't get lost and it gets to you, they won't give you the home address charge. There is an additional charge for sending it to your home. Sending it to a business or a school, it's okay. They do charge tax and shipping, but if you get paperbacks, those run less. Otherwise, it's usually about 50 cents a book on average. You do have to spend $100 or more, so get with some friends. If you spend $100 or more, you have to get at least 2 books per title. If you spend $250 or more, which could be very easy to do, you don't have to buy you can buy just one of each. But once in a while, it's a good thing to have 2 or more of the same title, just because kids love to read together. They love to choose the same book as their friend. And so that's helpful. Some other places, BookOutlet.com is paired up with Book Depot, but if you spend $35 or more, there's no shipping. They also have specials off and on, and their books, though, do run about twice the price of Book Depot. So I discovered accidentally that those 2 companies were linked when I was a school librarian. That's how I redid my school library, was to, the actual school library, was to use those websites. Let's see, what else? Garage sales.
With garage sales too, I found this a little bit. If I tell the person that's running it I'm a teacher,
Yes.
I've actually gotten free stuff. Not saying that they should do that, but I've had someone just say, "Oh, just take that," and I'm like,
Yes.
"Really?" They're like, "Oh, if it's for a classroom, you can just have it." So if you just sometimes tell people you're a teacher, do you find that's often the case? People will just give you stuff sometimes.
Definitely. That works really well. PTO also, the parent-teacher organization, if there's one in the school, sometimes they'll run a scholastic book fair. In Brownsburg here, they do it usually twice a year, and they give a certain amount or number of books or amount of cash, not cash, but you can spend $100 on books. So give us your wish list and they will try to honor that. So that's another good way. And then when you're on vacation, just if you go in a store, we were on the beach one time and we went in this cute little store. I found a couple things I wanted for my school for decoration. And I said something about, by chance, do you have a teacher discount Always keep your teacher ID with you. You never know. She said, sure. And I think she gave me like a 30% discount. People are very generous to teachers because they know that we spend a lot of our own money. Amazon wish lists are great tools that are being used now as well. And just let your parents know. Sometimes you can suggest, we did this with the school library, if it's your birthday, donate a book to the school library. Well, if it's your birthday, donate a book to the classroom library. You just don't want those who can't do it to feel badly, but
Yeah.
yeah. Scholastic, if you do book orders, that's another great place to get books, to get free books. They sometimes have dollar deals. They'll have a box of, they used to anyway. It's been a little while since I've ordered from Scholastic, but they would sometimes have a box, 25 books for $25. It's probably gone up since, but that's a good place to start.
Yes. I have
So,
memories actually as a student getting those big Scholastic papers, and you would just
yes,
flip through it and just get excited about all the books. I don't even know, like you said, if they have those papers anymore, but that was a big moment for me as a kid growing up. So, yeah,
sure.
as an adult too, we can use that to
Uh-huh.
be a resource for us. Yeah.
And I don't know if I was doing it when you were there, but I actually did that with the college students at Olivet. I got the flyers and passed those out to the students, and then we were able to get
I think you did do that actually. I
extra.
think I do
Did
remember
I?
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
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 So you never know where you're going to find books. One time, one of the bookstores I had gone to had an overrun of books. They had to clear out a closet, and they said, would you like these free for your students? And it's like, yes, I will take those.
Yeah.
So I brought them back, and it was like Christmas at Children's Lit.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember you bringing things for us. Like I said,
Uh-huh.
you helped me start my first classroom library. You just would bring things so generous, and you had a way. I felt like you were a magician. You're able to find these books that came. I'm like, where did they come from? And they just would come and come and come. And I
They
think that's
did.
something that you just have a very good knack for, keeping your ear to the ground with that stuff. So,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You just never know where you're going to find those. So that's probably most of the resources I can think of right now. Unless you've got like community organizations, Ag in the Classroom is another, at least for Illinois especially, through the Farm Bureau. He would come and share with us information in language arts, social studies methods. And then they also have grants that they offer to new teachers in Illinois. I want to say the book grant's like $250. They need to have some relation to agriculture. Sometimes they will select the books for you and send you the books. You just have to complete the grant application. And when you do that, you have to follow all the rules exactly. And that will help you just get a little start.
that's a great tip. Is there's grants available for teachers if they're able to look for those things, and that's a
Hmm.
great just tip in general. There might be money available if you look.
That's true. They do take time to fill out, and you do have to be very accurate with the information you provide. But
Yeah.
other than that, it is time consuming and it does seem overwhelming. I know the second school I went to, I walked in, it was a sixth grade classroom, and I had a stapler. That was it. And everything else was empty. And
Wow.
so it was like starting from scratch. But
Yeah.
it comes. Just be patient.
Yeah, maybe that's something we should bring up to the new teachers as well, is that it's going to take time. Sometimes I think a new teacher might walk into a classroom that's been there for a while. That new teachers has established their library, and maybe your bookshelves aren't as full. Maybe they're just getting started, and that's okay, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah. So I guess, we kind of have talked about a little bit about different resources that teachers can use to access these books. You kind of talked about it earlier. We touched on it. Is there anything teachers should be saying when they're talking to community organizations or when they're talking to people that they want to get books from? I know teacher discount's something that's possible. Is there something that you do when you talk to people that makes it kind of easy or not awkward? You kind of just, any tips for that piece of it?
When I was in those stores and I just kind of chat and I said, oh, I'm teaching future teachers and they have nothing. It kind of make it sound pitiful. They have no resources yet and they're going to be going out into their new classroom with nothing. And do you have resources? Sometimes, I don't know if they're still doing it, but half price books, those bookstores sometimes would provide schools or possibly classrooms with if they have too many books. And so that's I would just kind of talk to them, tell them, oh, my students will love this and appreciate this, or I'm buying these for my students. And they always ask for a teacher discount. I think I did mention that. But like half price books would always give me a teacher discount. I just had to show my card. And when you look at the clearance books, if they're $1, then you're paying 90 cents for possibly hardbound books. What I also noticed at that store was that sometimes they would have sample books that salesmen had used, and because it might say sample, and they'd be brand new nonfiction hardbound books that would be so appropriate for a school and helpful for the classroom library, because nonfiction books are more expensive. Right now, graphic novels are more expensive than your regular paperbacks. So those, I don't know, I guess I just start chatting and I would tell them about my students, my college students, and some of them were just so generous.
Yeah, I think
So,
we underestimate just being friendly and sharing our
uh-huh,
story and even sharing some of the details of maybe you're a teacher and you're like, hey, I'm starting my new classroom or I'm starting new, and having people have empathy for that. Maybe
yes,
finding little things for you, little treats for you that maybe they wouldn't have found if you hadn't have
uh-huh,
shared that. So
sure,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and watch for those retiring teacher sales.
Yeah.
Those are great. So, and they're very willing.
Yeah. So I guess for those teachers who are watching who maybe have a full bookcase, maybe they're too full. Maybe they're at the other end of this
Maybe.
spectrum. You said that you're kind of moving into that veteran teacher side where maybe there are too many books. You have such an experience with being a librarian, and also class children's literature was your class that I took.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any suggestions for maintaining a library that is organized and relevant to students and makes them excited to read?
Sure. With younger children, probably the easiest way is to look at your books, and this will take time. Divide them fiction to nonfiction. Make two big piles, and then look at that fiction section. Maybe divide them by series, divide them by topics. Nonfiction, easy to divide by animals, dogs. Kids love dog books. Dogs, cats, graphic novels. That's a big one right now. Fairy tales, picture books, easy chapter books. What you can do, they recommend for the younger children to use the bins. Get colorful bins, label those with like the shipping labels. You can use those, decorate them possibly. Put a color sticker to match the books that go in that bin with a sticker on the book that matches that color, so they could easily put it back in the correct place. That's one suggestion. When you get into the older kids, you may want to try to do the spines, have the spines out. And then you would put the author's last name, possibly, like they would be in the library. Now, as far as nonfiction, that would be harder. I may just keep nonfiction in bins. For one thing, when they're in the bin, students can go through and look at the front cover of books. That's really helpful. It's that Barnes and Noble aspect, because my dad even made one for me. It was one of those slanted display cases. If you can put those books up and have the faces out like they do in Barnes and Noble, kids will pick those books or stand them up on the top of your bookshelf. If you've got for the top, just open the book out on top of the bookshelf. We do that in the school library. And kids will ask, well, can I check that book out? Oh, sure, that's why we put it there. It's for you to take. They'll grab those easier than taking time to go through the stacks and the shelves.
Yes, I love that differentiation between the younger kids and older kids, and then also making that extra step as a teacher to really highlight certain books that they can look at. Maybe, do you ever like rotate them for the holiday season, or do you do that kind of with your
Yes,
classroom libraries? Yeah.
definitely. And you could have a bin of Christmas books.
Yeah.
We do that in the school library. We've got a Christmas section. We have Halloween, Thanksgiving. Those are all separated out of the regular stacks just so it's easier for us to display and then also for the students to find. We've got kids who'll look at Christmas books all year round, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you could do that in your classroom library by using those bins.
Also, the colored, you mentioned the colored stickers. That's a great way for those little kids, those smaller ones, to match the
Yes.
color with the bin and making sure that they get back to where they belong. So that's one of the issues, is making sure it stays with the organization system that you started with in the beginning of the school year.
Yes, and that can be challenging because even in the regular school library, things just don't stay in the spot in their home, as we say. But try to make it as simple as possible. And another thing is, when you think you've got the system mastered, don't be afraid to tweak it as you go. Don't think that just because day one you've got it all organized and it's going to flow like this, that it will work. And sometimes a different class you may find has challenges with your system. This year it might work well. Next year you may want to tweak it some more to meet their needs. A good suggestion that, and I did it with my own classrooms, I would do a reading survey at the beginning of the school year just to get to know the students and to find out what kinds of books they like to read. Because then you as a classroom teacher can direct them to the classroom books you have that you know they would love. And then if they like, for instance, they love Goosebumps. Okay, so let's move on to something else now. What about a different mystery story or Captain Underpants? Let's try something else. And you can take them from one easier genre to another. And that's just kind of helpful for you as far as doing a survey. But organization is tricky, and you have to decide what kind of rules you want. Are they going to take them home? Will they leave them there at school? Some teachers will put a bin in the middle of a 4-square desk setup, and students can put their library books in there or their classroom reading books in there. Will they take them home? How will you have them sign them out? Will they sign them out on paper? The card system is gone. If desperate, you could do that. There might be some online sites. There were at one time, and I didn't take time to look to see if those are still working. But just try to decide what kind of rules you're going to have for the library.
That's a really important piece to remember, because you don't want to lose those books you worked so hard to collect.
No.
That's disappointing when you have
Mm-hmm.
built a library and you wonder, where did it all go, you know?
And that reminds me, make sure you either buy a stamp with Mrs. Forgave's classroom library or something like that on it, or make your own labels and put those in the books so that they know those are your classroom books. Once in a while, the kids will try to take those back to the school library and we have to return them to the teacher. Yes, make sure you label every one of those books.
Especially like you said, if it gets turned into the wrong library, then you can get your book back because it might just be misplaced.
We've even gotten public library books turned into the school library, so you never know.
What do you do then? You give it back to the student, or do you just give it to the library?
The librarian usually takes care of it.
That's so
Sometimes it's better to just take it back to the library yourself
yeah.
to make
And
sure
then
it
use
gets
it.
there.
Yeah. That's so funny.
But yeah, so those are just some thoughts, but don't be afraid to make changes, to add books, to subtract. When you're looking at genres, try to balance, try to have nonfiction and fiction. Boys tend to drift to the nonfiction more than girls sometimes. What's fun are some of these weird but true books. They're full of little facts. You don't have to read it cover to cover. You just pick and choose what you read, kind of like an almanac but having a few of those in your classroom are helpful. The series books, Magic Tree House, Junie B. Jones, some of those, you can put all the series in one bin, all the Junie B's, all the Magic Tree House. Yeah, there's so much, so
Yeah,
much.
right. Well, I love the tip too about having those books that are shorter reading things. I remember I
Yes.
had a book, the World Records book. I don't know which one, Ripley's, I
Guinness
think.
World
Oh,
Records
Guinness.
or
Yeah.
Scholastic Book of World
Yes.
Records.
And the students loved that book. They would all like just kind of form a little circle around it and just point at it and think about all the funny things people would do. And so, yeah, those little pieces of reading are just as important as those chapter books to remember to include in your library.
They
Yeah.
are. They are. And probably, getting to know your community and what books would be acceptable for you as a first year teacher. Let the school librarian deal with the hard subjects, maybe, the difficult subject books, and you think about their reading levels. Now, some teachers will level all their books and want them to check out certain levels. That takes a lot of time. With a classroom library, I don't know if I would level books as such. Some of those nonfiction, National Geographic, Time, they say level 2, level 3. Some of the fiction ones like that, the easy readers, those are already leveled kind of for you, but let them choose books they're interested in. That's how they'll gain that love of reading.
Yeah, and then I think, like you said earlier, kind of gauging their interest a little bit as the school year starts, and then having, if you can recommend books in the library that would connect to their interests as well to
Yes,
build that interest in them.
definitely. That helps a lot. And just having you show interest. I've seen teachers who really push reading with their students, and it makes a difference in their students. When their students come to the library, the school library, they want to check out books. So keep that in mind as a new teacher. Share your love of reading. And if you don't love reading, start loving it.
Get on board. Get on the
That's
train.
right. You need to love to read to share that with your students. Read the same book that one of them is reading, or let them know which one's your favorite in this book bin. My favorite in this one is, and pull it out, let them know why. Give them a chance to talk about books with their friends and read the same book as their friends.
Yeah, yeah, great tips to help kind of create the reader in us as teachers too. I think we get busy sometimes and we don't always read for ourselves,
We
too.
do.
And I know we have, I don't know what the acronym is now, but it used to be Stop Everything and Read or something like that. And we'd read the students would read for 30 minutes or 20 minutes on their own. And
Mm-hmm.
as teachers, I think it's good for us sometimes to read too with them. It's good to kind of model that with them. And like you said, find the joy for ourselves as well. So,
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
When you're looking for books to choose from, go online, find those first grade recommended books. Go to the ALA website and find find the Newbery, the Caldecott, some of those books. Now, your school librarian will probably have some of those, but those are good places also. Those books are going to be more expensive, but put those on your Amazon wish list. And in Indiana, we have the Young Hoosier Book Award. And so every grade level, like K through 2 and middle school, they have different reading lists for those students each year. So look at those lists to help you make choices.
Yeah. Wow, there's been a lot of great resources shared. So much. I know whoever's watching is going to be like taking notes on all the things they can go check out now. Is there any final thoughts before we get into some kind of fun questions that you want to share that haven't been shared yet about classroom libraries to our teachers who are watching?
Just don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask the school librarian for help. And keep in mind, classroom libraries are a constant work in progress. They are never done. You're always adding, subtracting, changing it around a little, displaying different books, pushing different book interests. Just help your children love to read. That's what's so important. And give them as many opportunities as possible.
Yes.
So
What a great message to kind of culminate our interview here.
good.
Before you end, though, I do want to. I always ask teachers or podcast guests on the some quick questions just so we can get to know you and have still a fun way to end the
Okay.
interview. So they're just fun things here. So the first question is your favorite teacher lunch.
Oh, favorite teacher lunch. We used to have sometimes soup Fridays, and teachers would sign up to bring in soup, sandwiches, and we'd share those. When I was at Olivet, Dr. Glenn and I would like to go over to one of the area restaurants and get a salad and just chat during lunchtime. That was always fun, but being at a university, we had that ability to do
Yeah.
that. As far as other lunches, chicken salad, sandwich in my lunch, some fruit, veggies.
Yeah.
But it was always fun when we did those potluck kinds of things
Share a little
and
bit.
shared recipes. Yes.
Yes.
So that was
Awesome.
always good.
This question might be hard for you, but favorite children's book.
My
I know
goodness.
it's hard to choose, I'm sure for you.
Oh, I know. I had to cut my books down, and then it's like, I love Jan Brett books. I love her books,
Me too.
all of them. The detail in her artwork is amazing. I love the classics. Anne of Green Gables. We went to Prince Edward Island, my husband and I, and toured that area. That just made it extra special. But probably Jan Brett is one of my favorites. And she's got the Easter egg. I've got them all over here on my shelf. She's got a lot of Christmas with the trolls, and just fun books. The Mitten, the Hat,
Yes.
all of those.
The borders on her books are
Yeah.
amazing because they like each page kind of is a foreshadowing for the next page with the
Uh-huh.
borders. As a kid, I just loved those books. So, yeah.
Did you know, though, that some of the Hedgie books do not have borders? We
Really?
discovered that, yes. And I can't forget Mo Willems. I met him a couple of times at conferences. The Pigeon books. His books are so fun. And when you read the Elephant and Piggy books, you need to look for the pigeon in every one of his books. If it's not a pigeon book, he has hidden the pigeon one or more times in every one of his other books.
I did not
So,
know that. Wow.
yes, it's so fun. I discovered that it was probably after you were there. And so I would give my Elephant and Piggy books to the students in Children's Lit and tell them to find the pigeon. And for example, in the Should I Share My Ice Cream book, Elephant and Piggy, the pigeon's head is in the ice cream part of one of those cones on the opening pages.
Wow.
Yeah,
Little Easter eggs, like you said,
yes,
little things tucked
little
away.
things.
Love it. Okay, two questions more here. Your best behavior management tip.
Be as consistent as possible because students are always watching. And if you treat students differently, it does make a difference. Although I realize each student has his or her own needs as well. But be as consistent as possible. Kindness, try to show kindness and understanding to what those students may have gone through or be experiencing. So each class is so different.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so hard. Consistency is probably my
And that's a
biggest one.
classic one. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that we all need to hear more of, though.
Uh-huh.
Last lesson you've taught.
Last lesson I taught was I subbed the last week of school because a school librarian was sick. It was that last week of school when children did not check out books, and so it was a lot of fun. But I read some books to them and just preparing them for summer, I think, was what we were, and encouraging them to go to the public library and participate in their programs. That was
Yeah,
another lesson that we had right
important
at the
community piece there. All right, the last question for today's interview is best advice from a teacher mentor when you were first starting out.
This one was I don't know if that's best though.
Or maybe any advice you've gotten
Any
as a teacher or that
advice?
you feel like that's really resonated with you, that you're like, this really was important to me, and it kept my mind when I was teaching.
We didn't have mentors like you guys do now, and so we were kind of on our own. But I had the support of my first job was there were four of us, three men and me. I did language arts, one social studies, one science, one math. And they were just always, if I was having a difficult day, they were always upbeat, positive, encouraging. So that's probably what helped me the most was the support from the teachers around me as a new teacher. Don't worry if the lesson flubs. We all have lessons that don't work. A lesson might work for one classroom, but when the next class comes in and you try to teach the same lesson, you may have to go to plan B, C, or D. So don't be afraid to make changes and modify as you go. That's probably one of the things I learned and that was taught to me as well by friends and fellow teachers.
Yes, I think that that's something as teachers we have to do is be adaptable and be open to change, whether it's our libraries or our classroom management or just kind of as the day goes along, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, what a great way to kind of finish off the interview.
Good.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here, Dr. Forgrave, and for sharing all of your knowledge about libraries and books. It's going to be very helpful for so many people. So thank you.
Thank you. I hope so.